So every now and again on certain builds I get some parts that I do want to have in carbon fiber, but which are really hard and complicated shapes to have fully covered in carbon fiber. Now for instance this mirror, it has a lot of different surfaces, angles, and complicated shapes in it, which makes it a hard piece to do. I have done it before, as you can see on the other side I've done here. I will take you through the process of making all of the templates, applying the decals, and getting the finished result. To start this process off, I would advise to paint the part that you're going to apply the decals to in a matching color. Now since I'm applying carbon fiber decals, the part is painted in a gunmetal which matches nicely to the carbon fiber itself. This is so that the underlying color doesn't really shine through but match with the decals, and also if you miss any tiny spots and have small gaps in between the decals, it isn't really as obvious as it is the same color and therefore nicely hides it. From other modelers, I've seen them clear coating the parts as well before applying the decals. I personally don't do this as the paint that I'm using is strong enough and also works really well with the decals, but that is all up to your personal preference. And once that is all done and out of the way, it's a matter of making a lot of templates. It would be ideal to do this in one piece, but sadly that can't really be done as the shapes and angles are too complicated for the decal to conform to. So pretty much every flat piece that I see, I will make a template out of. Making these templates is quite easy. As you can see, I just put on some masking tape, then rub it on and make sure that I can see the part underneath, and then outline it with some marker. Now of course the carbon fiber is a directional weave and I want to match that to other parts and pieces, so when making the templates it can also be a good idea to mark on the template masking itself which direction the carbon fiber needs to go into, and then match that with the decal sheet when you place it on and start cutting it out. After carefully cutting out the piece, I remove the masking tape and put that to the side. If I had ruined the decal during the application process, I still have the template and can make a new piece. So that's a good idea to keep to the side until the project is fully finished and you no longer need the templates. Then of course the decal is put into some water. I let it soak for a bit until it loosens from the backing paper and can start the application process. For the application process I always like to use some micro set. This is a setting solution for underneath the decals. It helps soften the decal to conform better to the shape of the part itself, and also is an extra adhesive for the decal to stick better to the parts. Once that is applied, the decal is carefully positioned and put in place, and I then start heating it up with a hairdryer to let it dry out and also start conforming to shape. Now in most cases of decal application, decal set is enough. As that is for the flat surfaces, it conforms easily to that shape and doesn't really need any additional work. Now if it does need additional work, as you can see on these pieces, as they need to go over the bends and hard corners, I'm using some micro sol. This is a specific softening solution which softens the decals and conforms them to shape a lot better. Now this goes pretty much the same way as the decal setting solution. You just put it on with a brush. Don't really save any, just be pretty liberal and make sure that the entire decal is nice and wet with the decal softening solution, and then again use the hairdryer to heat it up and speed that process up. You can also just let it air dry, but that would take a lot longer, and I personally just prefer using the hairdryer to speed the process up and get through it pretty quickly. Now this process is repeated multiple times until I'm satisfied with the way that decal has shaped to the part, and of course once it's completed I can just move on to the next decal. So the first decal is on, and then it's time to repeat this process again and again until the entire mirror or part is covered. Sometimes on bigger areas with flatter and bigger pieces, it is nice to have a cotton swab go over the decal itself to remove any of the excess moisture underneath. But with these smaller decals, I have found that that isn't really necessary and can only crease the decals, which you don't really want. So I'm pretty much only using the brush to apply the decal softening solution, push the decals over some of the edges and into some of the creases, and then heat it up again, and that pretty much does the work itself. There you have it. About an hour later and a lot of templates and a lot of small decals, these mirrors are now fully covered. So the main takeout and advice I would want to give is when you apply decals to small parts like this, it's better to use multiple small templates and small decals instead of one big one. The details are small, so I would advise the decals to be small as well in order to match that perfectly instead of going with a huge decal on the entire thing and trying to shape that to the part. I hope this video helped you out, and if you want to know more about decal application or any other scale modeling processes, there are multiple videos on my channel about these subjects, so feel free to check those out as well.